there you go. In my own video, I've just completely done a U-turn on that. Oh my god, how cheesy was that joke, Jesus. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's Honora Sims here if you are new. Today I have a different video, what I want to see in The Sims 4, or potentially what I want to see going forward for The Sims 5. So I'm basically going to break this video into 3 parts. Create a sim, build and buy mode, and then the final part I'm going to talk about gameplay that I would like to see a change in. And I will link the timestamps down below. Firstly, in Create a Sim, the most obvious one was the skin tones, and recently we have seen a massive surge in content creators making videos about skin tones and speaking up and saying how it needs to be changed. From the very beginning, Black Simmers have been talking about it and they've been demanding change, and EA have recently addressed these issues and they have said that they can hear us and they are working on a fix for it, and they said that a patch will hopefully be coming in fall. Brilliant. I was so excited to see that EA had said that they were listening to us and they were planning on making a change. However, it is a double-edged sword, as Plumbella pointed out on Twitter, because it should not take white voices to amplify black voices that have been speaking out about this from the very beginning. But I'm very happy that EA are listening and they are going to make the changes. From watching the video, it seems like they're planning on just adding more swatches. So personally, I feel that a color wheel would be the best way to deal with this. It would be the best way to fix the skin tone issue. It's a way of really personalizing and creating unique Sims, and I think because a color wheel is in the Sims already for pets, you can use your color wheel on pets. It's the most ridiculous thing. Why can you customize a dog more than you can customize a real person? It's baffling, but because the system is there, I'm assuming that they can put it in. Now obviously I'm not a game developer, I don't know how these things work, so I could be very wrong in that assumption, but I'm hoping that that would be something they would do. The color wheel could be used to create custom skin details and even vitiligo and things like that that would really add more diversity to the game. So along with skin tones, what I would like to see is more tattoo options, and personally I would love to see the more customizable tattoo options that came with Sims 3, where you could choose the tattoo and what part of the body it was going to go on, rather than the pre-placed ones that we currently have in The Sims 4. And a lot of people have also said that you could use the color wheel to create custom tattoos, which I say I'd be really bad at doing that in game. I can only imagine the creativity that would arise with some people if we had that in place. So there were also complaints that the hairstyles were not catered to hair that suits people of colour, and that the textures were off and some of the colours were off as well. And in the video addressing the skin tones, it was also mentioned that they were working on hairstyles as well. So this is really, really good to see. Yeah, so hopefully this means we will get a much better variety of hairstyles and skin tones for all people to create themselves in the game. Also, in terms of hair colour, I would love to see if we could get back like what we had in The Sims 3, where you could change the root and the highlight and the tip colour of the hair. I just think that would be amazing. I don't know how possible it is. I personally just think it would be so cool. And obviously a colour wheel for hair, if they were going to implement a colour wheel for skin, I think it should be implemented for hair. In saying a colour wheel, I'd love it not just for skin tones, I'd like it for hair, maybe for eyes. Basically the parts of you that make you unique that you would need a colour wheel for. I think that would be fantastic. And then there's little things in Create a Sim, like I'd love to see eyelashes and nail colour and things like that. I mean, it's amazing what eyelashes can do for your Sims. I would like to see a toned down version of the creative style. you could have your swatch system, but like each swatch you could change maybe from a choice of patterns and a choice of colours, you could just change it a little bit more rather than the full, like you can have any colour and any fabric and anything you want. Just a toned down version, just meet somewhere in the middle. I just think that would be really good. But all in all, I do think the clothing options in Sims 4 are miles ahead of other games. Okay, so that's the aesthetic side of Create a Sim talked about. So then there's areas like traits and things like this. So I would 100% like to see more traits in the game, and I think a lot of people would agree with me on this. And I would personally like to see not just more options for traits, but also that you can give your sim more than 3 traits. Because when you add more options of traits to the game, it becomes harder to choose what traits you want to give, and there's definitely going to be more than 3 that you want to give your sim. And I would like to see the traits having more of an impact on the actual Sims gameplay. If they're evil, they're evil. I've seen videos of people do this where they've literally put a sim with like all the bad traits and then another sim with all the good traits in a household with the same objects, and they basically do the same things. They don't act any different. Like, these traits don't really impact your sims, and I definitely would like to see them having more of an impact. I think it would just add more depth to the gameplay. I'd also love to see, again, I don't think this is happening, I think it's more going to be like for The Sims 5, really like to see the turn-ons and turn-offs come in from Sims 2. They were so cool, and it definitely adds more depth to your game. And tied in with this, I was kind of going back and forth between whether I'd like to see sexual orientation being brought into the game, because I love in The Sims 4 the way it's so open and your sim can literally, like, they're just attracted to people. It doesn't matter what gender they are. I know we had that update that came with Island Living where it introduced all the pride items, and that was really cool. But I would love then if your sims could come out and they could celebrate Pride. Like, I usually add Pride into my game as a holiday, but it doesn't really make sense because there's not the traditions. Now you can download mods to enhance this. Obviously there's a mod where you can come out and you get like nice little moodlets, and it's really cool. As I say, I haven't hauled about it because I do really like the openness where it's not an issue in the game. It's just Sims are attracted to Sims and that's it, and that's really cool. But I think for storytelling, I think sexual orientation would be a really good idea. But obviously, and with other things I'm going to talk about next, I do think that it's important that it's implemented correctly, and I would rather these things not in the game than them to be put in, but put in poorly and in an insensitive way. I would like to see it. I think it would be a nice like addition for storytelling, especially for people maybe who are using the game as an escape, and maybe they're going through their own struggles with coming out of their sexuality or whatever it is, and they're able to tell this story through the game. I just think that'd be really nice. And with that, I'd also love to see like coming out as transgender included in this as well, obviously. And that is one of the best things about the game is, and a lot of people know about this, but under your gender options, and you can select their body frame. So even if it's a female sim, you can give them a masculine frame. You can select that they prefer to wear masculine clothes or feminine clothes. Like, any sim can wear any clothes they want. And you can actually select whether they go to the toilet standing, sitting, and you can select whether they can get pregnant, get a sim pregnant, or neither. So you can really customize your sim and make like a transgender sim or whatever way you want your sim to be. So it's really cool like that. For representation for people, it's a good thing to add in the ability to come out. And I don't know, yeah. Let me know what you think about that down below. I'm really interested to hear people's opinions on this. On a similar note, disabilities being added to the game. This is it's one of those things that I would love to see implemented into the game, but it has to be done right. I'm actually going to put up a few tweets from Spellcaster Sim, or Sammy, and he put it better than I'm going to put it in this video right now. So Sammy has a thread here that I have up on the screen, and he says that I think it's extremely important that the Sims team add disabilities to the game. or at least try it. The game claims itself as being diverse, where we now get better skin tones, which is a huge step, but we need more. The Sims team should cover as much players as possible, and I've seen many Simmers wanting to have disabilities in the game, and I think so too. Of course, there's also people who don't want that, and that's completely understandable, so I think it would be good if there's an on-off option, so people may want to escape won't get triggered. It's of course extremely important that the team has a lot of research and even interviews people to get educated. But the main problem is the stereotypes. There will be stereotypes included, and I think it would be difficult but worth the risk. I just think that it's important for the franchise and a huge next step. So I would agree with a lot of what Sammy says here. I think I would like to see disabilities implemented, but I think the Sims team really needs to research it and it needs to be done right. And I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't want to speak for people. I just think, yeah, for a game that is priding itself on being inclusive, it would be nice to see. I don't know, it has to be done right. And as Sammy said, I think they need to get a team of people together that have done their research and this is both with the disabilities and with sexual orientation. I think they need a team that represents these groups of people. But yeah, all of these things I think are very important, and I just really would hope that they're done right, as to not offend people or be insensitive. But the important thing is it's a life simulation game, and I think people need to be able to represent themselves properly. And it's a great step now that we're getting with skin tones, that they're looking at it and they're listening. Okay, so the last thing in Create a Sim that I want to talk about is just the aspirations, and obviously this crosses over to gameplay as well, but I would like to see more aspirations. I think most players really want to see this because I'd say at this stage most people have played through like all the aspirations. I only realised that I'm actually a minority in this. Like, most people don't actually use the reward store. I actually do. I have like a almost like a routine that I go through when I play my game. Like, I try to complete as many aspirations as possible with my sim and get as many points and try and get the reward traits that I feel will benefit my game, and it is actually really fun. But I've seen a lot of people say that they think the reward store has been kind of forgotten about, and I actually agree with that. Like, they haven't added anything to it in a long time, and it's actually, like, it is actually fun if they added more aspirations and more rewards that you actually want, because there's no point adding more aspirations if they're not going to add more reward traits, because what's the point in completing the aspiration? What are you working towards? You want to get your points so that you can buy your reward traits. And then the last thing, it's just a small thing, why are pets counted as household members? Like, why do they take up a household slot, especially when you can't control them? Like, I want to have my large family with like 5 kids and also have a cat and a dog and have grandparents in the household. You can't do this. I want a big family with pets, and you can't do this because you're limited. But yeah, that's my one other little thing that I'd like to see with Create a Sim updates. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the build buy system, and this part will be short because, to be honest, I don't actually have a lot that I want to change with the build buy. I really like the build mode in the game. I personally think it's the best build mode we've had. I did like Sims 3, and obviously the creative style meant you could literally create anything. But I really like the build tool in Sims 4, and well, it could be because I'm older playing it, but I'm definitely better at building using the Sims 4 tool than I was in the Sims 3. The first thing is something that I definitely don't, no, it's not even a thing, it's not coming into the Sims 4, but this is something I'd love to see in the Sims 5, and this is new types of lots. So I don't mean like the way we have like cafes and gyms and all that kind of stuff. I mean, like, I'd love to be able to build like a housing estate or a terrace of houses or like a trailer park or something like that, you know. And I know you can build these things, but they're not functional as those things. Like you can obviously build a terrace of houses and just have one of them filled with furniture and the rest are just shells for the look of it. But I would love if you could actually have a terrace of houses and each one like your neighbours. I suppose it would kind of work like the apartments, but that you could share a wall with your neighbours in this terrace of houses. That would be so cool. And the same with like a housing estate, that you could have like semi-detached houses. I don't know how it would work, like if it was like a bigger lot and you could have all the houses on the lot and like a little pathways between them, and there could even be like a little playground in the middle that was like, you know, in some housing estates there's like a green area for kids to play on. I would love this, especially for like family gameplay. It would be so fun. I'm not a game developer. I don't understand how these things work. I don't even know if it's possible to implement it. And I don't see it coming in The Sims 4, but I would love if this came with the next game. Then just a small thing would be curved walls and curved pools and things like that. And I know there's workarounds, especially with the tool mod, and there's little things, but I'd love to be able to play my game with no mods. And that's not shade to modders and CC creators. My game is full of CC and I love it, but it's like I'm a little cheerleader for the game and I want the game to be perfect, that I don't feel like I need to add anything into it. So I love mods and I love CC, but I'd love if the game didn't need it, because then it would be a perfect game. I touched on this when I talked about Cass and the creative style. So I'd love more swatches, better swatches. Again, I'd love that in between of what we have now and then a smaller version of creative style to be able to at least match all the items. I was thinking something as simple as that you can edit each part of the item. Like you can change the color of the bedspread or the duvet without having to change the bed frame as well, that you could change those two things separately. Little things like that. The same with like dining chairs and all these kind of things. That would be enough for me. That's really all I can think of for build and buy mode. So the next one's the big one, and that is the gameplay changes I would like to see. Oh boy. Okay, so the first gameplay thing I'd like to see was a semi-open world. So obviously if they could implement open worlds, like fully open worlds, in a way that worked and wasn't extremely laggy like it was in The Sims 3. Can't even explain how much I would want that. But I personally think the best balance would be somewhere in between. I'd like to see semi-open worlds, so with the neighbourhood system that we have in The Sims 4, if they could just let you have an open world within your neighbourhood, so you could go to your next door neighbour's house and not have to load, but if you wanted to go to a different neighbourhood or a different world, then you had to have a loading screen. I'd be perfectly fine with that. And I think it's especially evident in the San Myshuno world, where, you know, you have to have a loading screen to visit the apartment next door to you. So yeah, I definitely would like to see at least a semi-open world. And this semi-open world, this kind of brings me on to a somewhat controversial topic, cars. And I have the unpopular opinion that I could give or take cars. Let me explain myself. I love the idea of cars in the game. However, I don't see how they work with the closed world that we currently have. And I know you're gonna say, but The Sims 2. Yes, but in The Sims 2, you had the driveways. So you had the animation of the car, your sim getting in the car and then driving out through the driveway. And that was great. That was enough realism, enough immersion for me. That was fine. And then in The Sims 3, they got in the car disappeared, appeared on the road, but at least then you could follow it because it was open worlds and you could follow the car around the street, and that was fine. It broke the immersion a little bit, the disappearing and reappearing, but at least then you could follow the car, so it was okay. So with The Sims 4, unless they do a whole revamp of the world where you can have driveways, because the way it works now, like some lots, there isn't room, like there's like flower beds and stuff in the way, so to have a driveway connecting your lot to the road doesn't make sense. Like some lots aren't even on a road, they're like off the road, so I don't know how it's going to work. And let me tell you how disappointed I would be if your sim gets in the car disappears, reappears on the road, and then disappears again into a rabbit hole. There's so many things I'd like to see updated before I see that. Don't get me wrong, I would love to be able to teach my teen Sims how to drive. I'd love to be able to woohoo in the car and make out in the car, and I would love a mechanic career. And you'd be able to have your garage and have your broken down car and work on it in the garage and like fix it up, and then like fix it up even with your teens and all this kind of gameplay. I would love it. It would enhance the game so much. Like I always build garages in my family homes, and I put like all the robotic station, the woodworking, and all those kind of like handiness skill and like kind of science stuff in the garage, like a workshop. This is what I do. But I just really don't want the car to disappear and then reappear and then disappear again. It would totally break the immersion for me. But then I do think about all the other things, like just being able to go into the car in the garage and work on it and all that kind of stuff. It would be pretty cool. So I'm not completely dismissing it. There's other things I want before it, but I'm actually kind of going on a rant now and almost convincing myself that I want cars, so maybe I've changed my mind on that. So there you go. In my own video, I've just completely done a U-turn on that. Oh my god, how cheesy was that joke? Jesus. Moving swiftly on, the big thing I want to see is better family gameplay. And I know not everybody is into family gameplay, and that's fine. And I like other things too. Like I love exploring other areas of the game, but I always come back to the family gameplay. Yeah, at this point, I can see it being like a generation style type pack. Realistically, it needs to be, I honestly think it should be a base game update, because there's so many things that just should have been in the game. Like, I'm gonna try to list all these mods down below, but like you probably have seen them or probably used them, I don't know. But like a lot of Kawaii Stacy's mods really add to this type of gameplay, and I've just downloaded that memorable events mod, and I haven't properly played around with it, but it looks unbelievable. And these are the kind of things I want to see in the game. That memorable events mod, it adds in all these events that you can have with your family, and this is what I really want. Like I want to have family reunion, family dinners, graduation, baby showers, bridal showers, engagement parties, hen parties and stag parties, or bachelor and bachelorette parties as they're called in America. The teen parties that they have when in The Sims 3 when the parents went away for the few days, like that was so cool. I'd love that to come back. Smaller point in that under family gameplay, I would really love if you could take family portraits, like big group photos, because one of my favorite things to do is I always, when I invite the family round for a party or whatever, I use the camera that came with the Machino stuff pack, and I take photos of all the extended family with the kids, and I like just take a load of photos and I put them up on the wall. But it's so time consuming and tedious to try and get every single member and try and get all these different photos of all the family members together and different like variants of it. So I would love if you could take like maybe a photo with up to even like 5 or 6 Sims would do it for me. At the minute it's 3 that you can have in the photo together. So yeah, I'd really love to see that. It just adds so much to my gameplay, because then I always put the photos up on the walls and it's just so cute. I don't know, I'd love it. And yeah, there's so many other events that I could just list on and on and on that I'd love to see under that like family gameplay. I just think it would be so amazing. And also just like more distinct activities for all the different age groups, especially because teens and adults are basically the same thing. It would be great to have more things that define teenagers in the game. Like there's a lot of hints about a bands pack, which would be really good. This is something I'd love to see, like just more activities. Like imagine being able to set up a band for your teens and even for kids, like that they could perform at like a school play or school talent show. I'd love to see more instruments. I'd love to see a drum kit. I really want to see a ukulele. I play the ukulele myself, and I'd really love my Sim self to be able to learn ukulele in the game. Yeah, so bands, being able to set up a band would be so cool, and then being able to go to concerts and have your favourite bands or artists, things like that would be so cool. I also think they need to add more sports activities, and again, you could have, not to stereotype it, but you could have like golf the elders really enjoy playing golf or things like that. There's so many more sports that need to be added into the game. But yeah, I just would love more activities for your Sims to do. More activities for kids and teens, because family gameplay is what I want. It's what I do, and I think a lot of people do as well. And also, like, in the vote for Nifty Knitting, there was all these other art activities that were talked about, and I would love to see some of them implemented, like the glass blowing, and I think was pottery mentioned, and things like that. I'd love an overall like hobbies game pack. I really think they missed the mark on this one when they released the extra kids art activity table with eco lifestyle. Instead of using the same mesh of the same thing, they really should have made it a new object, and it could have been like because kids in the game can use the recycle machine, and it could have been an object where they collect the recycled materials and like they make their own toys out of the recycled materials on this activity table. That would have been so cool. Or they could make little gifts for their parents, you know, like, oh, it would have been so good. Like even like with little toilet roll holders, and they could make like little binoculars out of them, just little things like that. I just really think they missed the mark on that one. It would have been such a good opportunity for them to add this new activity for kids to do, that they can create their own toys or create gifts, like homemade gifts for, as you can tell, yeah, I'm really obsessed with family gameplay. Even I was thinking about, I'd love if when your Sim's pregnant, that they could go to like a parenting class or like one of those like baby coaching classes, you know, they learn the breathing exercises and they learn how to give the baby a bath and they learn how to swaddle the baby and all that kind of stuff, and then they could gain a bit of parenting skill from it. And I'm not saying you need to go to the class with your Sim, like you can send them off to a rabbit hole for it, but I just think that would be really cool. Pregnancy in general in the game could really do with a bit of an update. I really would love to see if you could send your Sim to the gynecologist and they could get their ultrasound. I actually have Little Miss Sam's mod for this in my game, and it is such a small mod. Like basically when your Sim's pregnant, I think they have to be in their second trimester, and you click on the phone and you can go to a gynecologist or visit gynecologist, and they come back with their little ultrasound framed photo, and it's like just a little ultrasound photo, and it tells you the gender of the baby, and it tells you obviously it'll be one baby in the picture if it's one, and then twins or triplets. You can put it on your wall and then you can name it. It's such a small mod and it's such a small thing, but it has added like so much joy to my game. I can't even explain, I just love it. Obviously, while we're talking about pregnancy in the game, we cannot avoid the elephant in the room. We need to stop the objectification of babies. Yeah, so babies, they really need to not be objects anymore. I know not everybody cares about this. I know a lot of people just age them up straight away, but I really care about it. And a lot of people really do care about it as well. I really just want to hold my baby. I want to be on the phone while holding the baby. I want to take the baby downstairs. I want to be able to watch TV while holding the baby. I want to be able to put the baby down into a playpen or onto a playmat, or have tummy time for the baby. It's all I want. End baby objectification, please and thank you. I could make a whole video about this. I'm going to stop talking. I think everybody knows that we want to free the babies. Free the babies. Free the babies. Please, free the babies. Free the babies. Free the babies. So the last gameplay element I would like to talk about is story progression. I use the MC Command Center mod in my game, and it allows you to have story progression in your game, and it's very customizable and it's great. I love story progression, but that it's highly customizable and that you can turn it on and off. Basically because I do a lot of family gameplay, and the idea is I like to make my extended family and have them living in different houses. And obviously I want to have control over all of those houses, all those households, but I don't want to have to go in and play them constantly to progress them. I want them to be free and go do their own thing, but also like don't have a load of babies that I don't know about. I don't know how it would be implemented, but I definitely would like some story progression that I can let the families go and they'll get promoted in their careers and they'll learn some skills, and you know, the kids will get better grades in school or lower grades or whatever it is. Maybe if there was like some sort of setting that you could put in, like I want them to have X amount of kids. Basically, that is my wish list going forward in the future for The Sims 5, shall we say, because realistically a lot of this stuff I can't see being put into Sims 4. Some of it I can, but a lot of it, unfortunately, I think we're in too deep to this game. I mean, I'd love to be pleasantly surprised. For the Sims 5 base game, I want to see weather, seasons, I want to see pets, I want to see generations or parenthood or whatever you call it. And I also kind of want to see university, to be quite honest, in the base game. You've bought these elements of gameplay 4 times already. These are basic elements of life, and The Sims is a life simulator. So I think in this life simulator, the basic elements of life need to be in it. We have weather in life, we have pets in life, we go to university. Then, if you have all these things in the base game, that leaves so much room for creativity. Imagine the weird, wacky, creative packs that we could get. Like, you could deep dive into all the occults, you could do all the space stuff. Like, who knows, like, what they could do. It would be so, so cool. If you want a basic life simulator, you get a basic life simulator. And if you want to expand your game, you get these expansion packs that get to explore space and occults. And that is really and truly what I would like to see going forward in the Sims franchise. That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so, so much for watching. Please leave a comment down below and let me know your opinions on this. I'm so interested to hear other people's opinions on what they want to see in the game. I'd love to know if you agree with me or you disagree with me. I really love just hearing people's opinions on this. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. And please subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate the support. And you can follow me on Twitter as well, because I talk a lot about what I'd like to see from the game. I have that linked on my channel. So yeah, have a great day guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!